Our top stories tonight. Defence Minister Nosiviwe MapisaNqakula refutes reports that she smuggled a Burundian woman into South Africa. Correctional Services Minister Michael Masutha denies he was ordered by the Finance Minister to cancel an irregular tender. This is eNews Direct, Weekend Edition. Good evening.
You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNews Direct.
Or you can check our content on our website, eNCA.com/direct. The Defence Minister has rubbished reports that she smuggled a Burundian woman into South Africa. The Sunday Times is reporting that Nosiviwe MapisaNqakula used a state jet to do this in early 2014. But the Defence Ministry says the young woman came into the country with copies of her passport and a South African visa on a memory stick. This is in contradiction to reports suggesting that Mshuti used fraudulent documents. But government would not confirm if this was entirely legal.
For me, this should be a watershed budget debate because it really must determine whether we want to keep the Defence Force.
Less than a fortnight ago, Defence Minister Nosiviwe MapisaNqakula was adamant the country's armed forces didn't have the money to fulfill their mandate. But on Sunday, a newspaper story alleged the minister abused her powers and department resources when she flew to the DRC to rescue Burundian national Mshuti. MapisaNqakula confirmed that she flew from the Waterkloof Air Force Base to the DRC to fetch Wege in January 2014. She claims the trip had already been scheduled to the DRC.
But if you think about it rationally, if she genuinely was flying first to Kinshasa to meet with the DRC Minister of Defense, then onwards to Addis, where apparently they were discussing the peacekeeping and the situation in the DRC, then, unwise but nothing else. What interests me much more is the background story around the travel documents of this young lady. In this case, what worries me is not cost to state, but possible political implications if there were any fraudulent documents involved.
Wege was initially detained for trying to board an SAA flight to Johannesburg using fraudulent travel documents. The minister would not avail herself for an interview, but remains adamant she's done nothing wrong, and that Wege entered South Africa using copies of her original passport and visa on a USB. Home Affairs officials were not immediately able to clarify if the process was entirely legal when approached for comment. Nicholas Bauer, Johannesburg.
Justice and Correctional Services Minister Michael Masutha has denied that the Finance Minister ordered him to cancel an irregular tender with Correctional Services. The tender relates to the implementation of an integrated inmate management system. It's been awarded to a company with alleged links to the ANC.
It's a biometric system designed to streamline the way correctional officials log offender details. The 378 million rand tender to do so was awarded to Integratron, part of the SASTEC group of companies, in November last year. But several questions have been raised about whether the process followed in awarding the tender was legit. Now, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan has weighed in. Weekend reports suggest that Gordhan has ordered Correctional Services Minister Michael Masutha to cancel the tender altogether. But in a written statement, Masutha's office denies the report. Instead, it says that Gordhan has advised him to review the contract. In the statement, Masutha's spokesperson Tunzimaga says the minister responded to Gordhan's letter last month. In it, Masutha says the matter is before the Auditor General and it would thus be premature to take any action as this matter is still subject to an ongoing audit. It further confirms that the matter is currently before court. For now, it seems the seemingly irregular tender will remain as is. This same system is currently at the forefront of another scandal. A former inmate claims to have developed the system and that Correctional Services officials have stolen his intellectual property. The department has until the 9th of June to respond to Quinton Richards' notice of his intention to sue before formal legal proceedings are instituted. Leanne Jansen, Cape Town.
Government is turning to prayer to try and solve some of the country's problems. President Jacob Zuma joined religious leaders from all faiths in a national prayer day. As part of Africa Month, the initiative is aimed at promoting better relations between all Africans.
With a prolonged drought, violent protests, and several scandals, the government has its hands full. Now it's turning to the heavens to solve some of those problems. As part of Africa Month, the National Prayer Day is aimed at uniting the continent, bringing together various faiths to work towards building a better country. President Jacob Zuma arrived to a warm welcome, despite the stadium being barely half full. He condemned the increasing incidents of property destruction during protests.
It causes us and all freedom-loving South Africans a lot of pain and disappointment to see such important infrastructure being destroyed.
Zuma also called for an end to the chaotic scenes witnessed in Parliament recently.
We pray for peace and order to return to our Parliament so that the representatives of our people may be able to discharge their duties with dignity and respect.
Premier Senzo Mchulu's name appears on the program, but Transport MEC Willis Mchulu gave the opening remarks instead. It comes amid speculation that the Premier could be forced by the provincial ANC to resign. And Mchulu's office simply said the Premier had other commitments. Desan Tathia, Durban.
Tomorrow is the last day for voters to register for August's upcoming local government elections. Cooperative Governance Minister Des van Rooyen is also expected to proclaim the date of the local government elections. President Jacob Zuma has already announced the 3rd of August as the election date, but the law requires it to be officially proclaimed. The Electoral Commission has encouraged people with outstanding information to submit their particulars before Monday's deadline. The city of Tshwane has introduced new fire-resistant building material in the construction of RDP homes. It's also found a way to prevent shack occupants from being moved during the construction period. They're able to continue living in the shack whilst construction on their new home starts on stilts above them.
Every winter in South Africa, thousands of shacks will burn. But this is not a usual shack fire. It's been set by firefighters who want to demonstrate to the community that a new building technology introduced in the area is fire resistant. Tshwane is the first area in the country to adopt the new technology.
It brings together elements of sustainability, taking into account water harvesting. That's some of the features here, reduction in energy usage. So there's a lot of benefits to the environment, to the climate.
The home is initially built on stilts above the shack it aims to replace. The shack dweller will then move upstairs and the structure demolished. The bottom of the house is then built and services installed.
This is the aftermath of the fire. Shacks burnt to the ground, but the house is still standing virtually untouched. Firefighters say it would have reached about 1,000 degrees Celsius here while the fire was burning.
I think that it will be better if government can provide people with this house so that, I think that people, they can live better inside this house.
The city says from now on it will build these instead of regular RDP houses and save 40,000 rand per house in the process. Authorities are hoping the new technology will help reduce one of the most common causes of death for residents living in informal settlements across the country. Teresa Taylor, Mamelodi.
Well, moving further afield now, renewed peace talks aimed at resolving Burundi's political crisis have opened in Arusha, Tanzania. Hundreds of people have been killed in violence since President Pierre Nkurunziza pursued and won a third term in July last year. Critics say the exclusion of some major opposition groups does not bode well for the outcome of the latest talks. Afghanistan's government has confirmed the claim by the US that it killed Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansour in a drone strike. Mansour's vehicle was targeted on the Pakistani side of the remote border region with Afghanistan. The government has said Mansour was the main figure preventing the Taliban joining the country's peace process. And a giant NASA fuel tank has completed its final journey from New Orleans to Los Angeles. It'll go on display at the California Science Center with the U.S. Space Shuttle Endeavour. The orange tank weighs 29,500 kilograms and would reach 3 stories high if stood on its end. Built as a sister tank for the Space Shuttle Columbia, it was never used in a shuttle launch. Well, for these stories and more, go to eNCA.com/direct or follow us on Twitter and Facebook at eNewsDirect. To the break, veteran heavy metalers Iron Maiden rock Johannesburg on the South African leg of their world tour. After a 21-year hiatus, heavy metal band Iron Maiden has rocked South Africa once again. The Johannesburg performance is their second and last show in the country as part of their Book of Souls world tour. Last night they unleashed the beast to a packed Carnival City with new material and fan favourites from their extensive back catalogue. Our entertainment reporter was there to witness the live spectacle.
Veteran metalheads, or should I say godfathers of Britain's heavy metal scene, have taken care of business in South Africa. Iron Maiden are taking their Book of Souls world tour to 35 countries across more than 6 continents. Touching down in style is the band's own personalized Boeing 747 Ed Force One, piloted by lead singer Bruce Dickinson. After keeping SA metalheads waiting for 21 years since their previous show in the country, it was finally their time to rock on. Their 2015 Book of Soul is their latest and 16th studio album since their debut in the 1980s. They've sold out more than 90 million albums worldwide.
How much of a fan are you?
These guys have been my favorite since I was really young.
Yeah, I love rock. I'm coming from Zimbabwe. It is about the brotherhood. It is more than just the music.
From here, the veterans jet off to begin their European leg of the tour. To vocalist come pilot Bruce Dickinson, it's over and out. Nondabeko Sibisi at the Carnival City Lawns.
Well, that's your entertainment news for tonight. After the break, Joel has your weather update.
Welcome back to the Weather Center. We stayed with clear skies throughout Sunday across the eastern half of South Africa, and over the western areas we had this thick band of high cloud flying across the Cape provinces. In the Atlantic Ocean we are watching this cold front which is gathering steam and quickly edging towards the western parts of South Africa. Now here's a summary of what your Monday is going to look like. It's going to stay sunny for the eastern parts of the country. We will continue to see patches of high level cloud over the western areas, and back winds are going to allow for very warm afternoon temperatures over the southern and southeastern parts of the country. And the cold front we saw earlier is going to introduce afternoon rain along the southwest coastline, spreading into the south coast towards the evening hours. KwaZulu-Natal is going to stay sunny with temperatures in the upper 20s for most places. Durban and Ladysmith peaking at 28 degrees. Mostly sunny and warm to hot weather is forecast across much of the Eastern Cape. Highs around 30 for East London, Port Alfred as well as Bishop. It's going to be cloudy with rain in the afternoon along the southwest coastline of the Western Cape, spreading into the southern areas, even reaching George in the evening. Cape Town will manage a high of around 17 degrees. Partly cloudy skies are forecast for the western parts of the Northern Cape. It's going to be mostly sunny for the eastern areas. Kimberley warming to around 24 degrees. Mostly clear skies are set to persist across much of the Free State. Temperatures warming up a touch. Bloemfontein and Welkom making it to around 23 degrees. Clear skies are forecast for much of the northwest, a high of 24 for Zeerust, just a degree cooler in Rustenburg. We are going to stay with sunny weather across Limpopo, a mild 22 for the high in Polokwane. A sunny day is also forecast on Monday across much of the Mpumalanga province, a high of 26 is expected in Mbombela. We are also going to have fine weather for Gauteng with mild afternoon temperatures. Then on Tuesday, light rain is forecast in the morning for Cape Town. It's going to stay wet for the southern areas, and the wet weather reaches KwaZulu-Natal in the evening. Then on Wednesday, we stay with wet weather over southeastern South Africa. It's going to be partly cloudy and cooler in Gauteng.
A recap of your top stories before we leave you. Defence Minister Nosiviwe MapisaNqakula refutes reports that she smuggled a Burundian woman into South Africa. The Defence Ministry says the young woman came into the country with copies of her passport and a South African visa on a memory stick. Correctional Services Minister Michael Masutha denies he was ordered by the Finance Minister to cancel an irregular tender. That's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Up next, some Sunday night comedy with Modern Family.
To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or chat to us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct.
eNews Direct back in our weekday slot tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. from us here in the studio. It's a very good night.